Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm making this video to provide updated settings guide on the invite only script Auto Harmonic pattern UltimateX. This is not really a new script, which is published on May 9th, but I couldn't get time to do a how to video or settings guide video. This also indicator supersedes existing version of Auto Harmonic pattern Ultimate, which is also invite only script, but it's not deprecated and not being used anymore. And also all the new users are given access only to the new script UltimateX one, and existing users of the script have also been moved to the new version. And we suggest not to use this one because we are not maintaining this anymore, right? And with this, let's get started with the settings guide. So when you load a chart, you see following things. One is pattern drawings, and then the pattern trade suggestions, and the open pattern statistics. It has bit more. It's the same stats as what is present here, but in a tabular format. Maybe a bit more details, such as risk, reward, and percentage, etc. You can find them here. And then there is a closed trade stats table, which is kind of a backtest results. Right, let's get into the details of the settings with this. So if you go to the settings, most of the things which you can see here, they're available. You can go through the tooltips on most of the settings and understand what they are. But having said that, we'll not go through all the settings today because it's going to take a lot of time. We'll go to some of the important ones and see how we can make use of them to study this indicator better, or study the price action using this indicator better, right? The first and foremost thing is these four options which you see here. So use only confirm bars and ignore if entry closed above. So use only confirm bars in the sense to identify a pattern, use the last bar, not the current bar. This is important because current bar will always be repainting, right? So current price, for example, if you are using this bar when it's happening to identify a pattern, you find the pattern here, and then what happens? Price moves further down, right? And then the pattern is not there anymore because the pattern is supposed to stop here. So pattern is not there anymore, but you still get an alert saying that there was a pattern. So that kind of repainting can happen if you're using a current bar. To avoid that, what you need to do is use only confirmed bars. So when you use confirmed bars, completely the confirmed bars, you will not get that kind of issues. But having said that, using confirmed bars has different challenges. For example, let's say this pattern is formed here and price went straight up after forming the pattern, and you didn't get alert because you're waiting for the pattern, this part to complete, right? So you get an alert late, and by the time you get alert, the price has already moved up. So in order to handle this, what we have done is we cannot have both of them. We can only have one of them. Actually, we can, if you go with the real time bar, you get real time alerts, but you can also get false alerts. But if you use a like in a confirmed bar, you may not get a real time alert. But you can also, what you can do is you can ignore if closed above entry. You can check this option. It means that it will not send an alert for this kind of pattern where pattern is formed and also cross the entry on the same bar, right? So it happens in the next bar, it gives the alert, but if it happens in the same bar, it won't give the alert. So these two options are very important if you are using auto trading based on the bots or anything. That will help you safeguard about false alarms as well as risk or late alarms, etc. But if you're using this indicator for manual trades and you only need this indicator for suggesting the patterns or scanning the patterns, you don't need to select these options. So by default these are disabled, but you need to enable this if you're looking to trade via bots, right? And then trail entry price is nothing but, let's say the pattern has formed here, Maybe let's do a replay and reach here and see what it says. If it still gives a pattern, yeah, there is still a pattern. If you see that the pattern is still there. So but the entry is here and the stop is here. This is the range of the pattern. So let's say if I move this bar a little bit more, what happens? The price went down, right? So price went down, but the pattern, the entry range, right, that also can go further down if price can go down. So that's what is called as trailed entry. So let's say if I keep moving this further, this goes up, goes up, goes up. So if price goes further down than existing D, okay, if you see this, price went, okay, it's created a different pattern now. So it's not the same pattern. But if I go further, what happens? It created a T, and you see that the entries is kind of coming back, coming down. Like it's trying to give a better entry. It moved from 1219 to 1216. So if I do further again, so at 1216.32, it was slightly much further better price. So if I keep further down, it keeps moving down, right? So 1216 point, yeah, 12 11.95 now. So the price keeps moving down as and when the pattern moves down. That's called as trailing entry. So this will give you help you give better price, entry price, when this is enabled. So you can use this option if you want to get a better trailing price. And also it means that with the trailing price, your risk also gets lower and lower. Like if your stop also gets lower as well. And it's up to you. Like if you do not and if you do not make a trailing entry, what happens? Like price will keep here. Okay, price will keep entry price will keep at the same level, but only the stop keeps moving. So that kind of changes your risk reward and other things. You can look into these all these things in the stats and decide what you want, how you want to handle this, or how you want to use this. Okay, that's about the trial entry price, and this is about the first part of it in generic settings. Other things are pretty simple. You can actually go through the tooltips and understand it better. And the next one is the filters. So if you want to filter based on a size of the pattern, let's say this pattern is a very big one and you don't want to trade this big pattern. Let's say let's go to scale, and this pattern size is 895 bars. All right, so you don't want to trade that many big patterns. So what you can do is select pattern size. Say you want to trade only 500 the patterns which are at most 500 bars. So when you do that, what happens is the bigger patterns are filtered out. So again, it may not be a good outcome, but we want you to, if you're using this indicator, we want you to try all these things and find your sweet spot. And similarly, percentage with respect to size, right? You can choose a pattern based on its size. Size is nothing but percentage from top to bottom. Like what we discovered now is this one, this particular width is like it is it is the like number of bars. It's mainly about number of bars. But if you want to filter it based on the max and min price, and that's where the second filter comes into picture, pattern size. Apart from that, you can also use external filter. So there is a video which I made separately, and I will not discuss this here. And you can refer to this how to use external filters on Auto Harmonic Pattern UltimateX. You can refer to this video, which will tell you how to build your own filter and how to use them with this particular option. Right, and then coming to the next important points is trailing. Trailing and target. So you can disable the trailing, or you can set the trailing for different levels. For example, break even means After reaching target 2, it will move the stop loss to the entry. It will not trail further, but it will only move the stop loss to entry, so that your trade is break even. At the break even stage, you cannot lose more money, but you don't want to trail very aggressively as well. And similarly, continuous means it will continuously trail after reaching target 2. So it means that no trailing will happen until you reach target 2. And once the target 2 is reached, it will keep trailing for every tick, right? And then stepped means it will only trail after reaching particular levels. For example, target 2, when you come to target 2, the trailing is moved to entry. And when you reach target 3, the trailing will move target 1, and so on. So that's a slightly different way of trailing, but you can use it anyway, right? And I prefer to keep this disabled, because I generally use up to target 2. I do not go beyond target 3 and target 4. So I prefer to use this as target, keep the default as disabled, and set the trailing start state to target 2. So now the entry percent is nothing but, you don't want to trade a pattern as soon as it hits a bottom, because what happens in a strong trend is it keeps going down and it will hit the stop. So the entry percent will say that how much percentage of retracement it should happen before making an entry, right? This is the base. Let's say there are different bases, like impulse, retracement, or AD, CD, or minimum and maximum of these. So the default value of base is min. That means that it will use minimum of impulse or retracement, and 30% of this minimum base, 30% of the base when it reached, it says let's go for entry. So before 30%, you do not enter the trade until it hits the entry price. You do not enter any trade. What you can also do is, once you get an alert for a pattern, you can put a stop order here in the entry price, right? And this entry, like, if it hits the stop order, then you go long. Otherwise, no opportunity is lost. So if it comes directly and hits the stop, you can just cancel your pending order, and it won't end up, you won't end up in loss because of that. So this way you can avoid lots of false patterns or bad rates using this mechanism. Okay. And the next important thing is, again, a stop percent. Again, where do you want to place the stop? For example, if you look at this, I'll get out of the replay mode. If you look at this, stop is at the 0D level. So it means that if you look at this one here, sorry, open the code. If you look at the value of stop percent, it's 0. That means that it's at the D level. So if you increase the stop level, let's say 5, so that means that stop will come here slightly lower. So that also mean that you changed your risk reward, right? And also it will change your win ratio. So these two factors, right? These three factors, of course, base, entry, and stop. This will influence your win rate and risk reward a lot. You can experiment a lot on this and try to set different values, and see how what will what will get you better results, or what will work better for you. But keep in mind that if you reduce your entry percent too low, like for example 5 and 2 5, something like that, that means that you may get lots of false results. All right, that's because there is not enough room for price to move up, right? It will give you lots of um, you know um, immediate entries. So it will become difficult for you to weed out the false trades, right? If you see that, if you make the entry percent as 5, the win rate is reduced to 15. but you can also see that risk reward has been pretty high now, but it's not very reliable because it may give lots of false stats or false entries. So I want to keep it at a little bit higher rate so that you won't be it will be safeguarded with you know for repainting and other things. Okay, the target levels, as you know, it's again based on the fib ratio, based on the base. You can set your target levels at different levels, right? And the target levels you can select from the drop down. But if these values are not present in, if the value which you're looking for is not present here, what you can do is you can select this and you can add a different value, something like that. Okay, so that will change the entry percent there for target one. Yeah, you can see that target one is here now. And when you're selecting the entries and targets, just please make sure that you select appropriate values. Do not select target two more than target one or entry more than target two, that kind of things. That will again lead to lots of false information on the backtest, etc. Right. And the last thing is the number of patterns available. There are a number of patterns available. You can select like by default classic and anti patterns are selected. Non-standard patterns which are present here, they're not selected by default, but you can choose to test them and select if you're comfortable trading them. The reason why it's not selected by default is that some of the patterns are very extreme and have a very high p hazard range, which can lead to some issues. When you are doing it, when you're it may also actually suppress a lot of other patterns. That's why I thought of disabling this by default. And these are the display options. You can go through them and understand them. It's not very complex. The stats, there is open stats. You can actually choose to display percentage, risk reward, or enhanced risk reward, etc. These kind of details you can choose to display or not display them. These are again very straightforward. If you want a simple table, just disable these options. So, and going to the closed trades, again, these trades statistics, they can be percentage based, or it can be a number based. So if you unselect a percentage based, you'll get a number, absolute numbers on, like how many patterns hit target one, two, three, four, etc. So you can use this, if you are more comfortable with the numbers rather than percentage. And this one, the mode display mode is three types. One is compact, means it will only show the total, it will not show individual patterns. Detailed means it will show all the individual patterns, and which may take up a lot of space, and it may come in the way of the chart, so do not select that generally. And selective means it will show the total pattern count, and also the count for the stats for patterns which are open, right? So I prefer to keep the default option, which is selective. And finally, the alerts. Again, alerts are alerts are set using alert function, not the alert condition. There is again another video on how to customize alerts in Auto Harmonic scripts. Right, you can. It will take some time to explain this, so I will not do it in as part of this video. Maybe I suggest users to go through this particular video on specifically made for alerts, and make use of that to understand how to use these settings to set your alerts. Okay, the backtest bars, how many bars you want to backtest, etc. And that's all about the highlights of this settings guide today. Let me know if you have any questions, further question. Thanks for watching. See you. Bye.